We ate so good tonight. This is pork chops, y'all, and that is Sure Shot Sid's gunpowder seasoning. I did 10 pork chops in the crock pot. So I'm just getting that gunpowder seasoning all over them, and that's the nature seasoning. I put that on them too. And I'm going to flip them and put the same seasonings on the other side. Now, I would have, put a sear on these before I even put them in the crock pot, but it was 10 of them, and I didn't feel like standing there doing that, so I just didn't. I did add some salt to them, too. So I sprayed the crock pot, and I'm just putting all 10 of them in there, and I cut up an onion and put it on top of that. I'm using 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup and 1 can of cream of chicken. This recipe would be really good with chicken also. And I just put a little bit of those same seasonings in that soup mixture. Stir it up together and pour it right over top of the pork chops and onions. And then I'm going to set the crock pot on low for 6 hours. This was about 2 hours in. Everything had gotten real hot, so I wanted to stir it up and make sure that soup mixture was on all sides of each pork chop. I added about a half a cup of chicken broth just to make it easier to stir everything up together. Now this was probably 5.5 hours later. I wanted to thicken up the gravy on those pork chops and let it have time to be getting thick while I was cooking everything else. So I made a cornstarch slurry and poured it in the crock pot, stirred it up, and then started cooking on my sides. This is going to be collard greens. It's just the chopped collard greens you buy from the frozen section at the grocery store. I put some water in there, 2 teaspoons of chicken bouillon, better than bouillon, a small onion, about a tablespoon of sugar, seasoning salt, crushed red pepper flakes, some nature seasoning, some smoked paprika, and y'all know I measure with my heart. That was a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and some Wash Your Sister sauce, and some bacon grease. I only got about a teaspoon of bacon grease because that's all I had. I ran out. I got to make some bacon. Been wanting to do it in my new air fryer anyway. Now that's a ham bone because I didn't have a smoked turkey leg. So since I'm having to use a ham bone, I put a couple drops of that liquid smoke in there just to make up for it. I just didn't want to go to the store. So I'm also going to do some mashed potatoes to eat with those pork chops and gravy. So I just got the potatoes all peeled and cut up. Now I'm making cornbread. You can't have collard greens without cornbread. It would just be wrong. So that's cornmeal. It's a White Lily self-rising buttermilk cornmeal mix with 2 eggs, just a little bit of oil, and then buttermilk till it gets to the right consistency. And then I always put a little bit of salt and pepper in mine. I don't like sweet cornbread. So I'm just going to spray it. I'm going to do muffins, cornbread muffins, instead of putting it in the cast iron this time. So I just sprayed my muffin pan. And then I cooked these on 375. Now that's just some okra, and I made sure it was thawed first, and then I put some of that cornmeal mix on it with some salt. And I like to fry in peanut oil, so I had that getting hot while I was prepping everything. And then I just scooped it over in there. Fried okra is so easy to make, and you don't even stir it, at least not until it's almost done. And I make sure that it's really done, too, because I don't like them to be squishy or slimy. So I like mine to be crispy. My potatoes had been boiling, and they were fork tender, so I put a stick of butter, some salt and pepper, and some mayonnaise. I was almost out, so I had to use it up and then get me another one out. Now, I take that gadget right there and just mash them up best I can and stir them around and try to get all the lumps out. And then I use a regular spoon because once you start stirring it, you know whether or not it's creamy enough. And if it's not creamy enough, you just add a little more mayonnaise. I got my cornbread basket out because those muffins was ready. I like to put them in there so they don't sweat. And Haley and Tristan came and ate with me and Caden tonight. Hannah wasn't home. But this is Haley filming me making my plate. Oh, man, that was good. I can't wait to try that same recipe with some chicken. But I'm going to get me some of them collard greens on my cornbread. And then I got me a little scoop off to the side. Those things were so good. I put a little pepper sauce on mine. Look at that pot liquor. I'm going to put that right on top of the cornbread. I love eating cornbread like that. Got me some fried okra. And y'all, that's it. It was so good. I hope y'all have had a really good Sunday. Before Haley and Tristan left, I gave them their surprise. I had saved some bouquets from their wedding because they had blue flowers and white flowers. And so I had saved some of their flowers and had them sent off to this company that makes jewelry or trinkets out of flowers, you know, like from wedding flowers or funeral flowers. And so they finally came back. It took months. She didn't know what it was at first. I had to tell her. Oh, and they were so excited. I got 2 of them because even though Tristan won't wear a necklace, he could put it on his rearview mirror, you know, in his truck. But they loved it, and they're pretty little necklaces, too. Okay, I love you. Stay classy.